All right, y'all. Welcome
back
to episode 3
of Her Circle podcast.
Doing it again.
Yeah.
So
back here, AZ Rocket Studios.
This episode, we're going to talk about all the times we threw punches and got mad and wanted to
our conflicts,
claw each other's eyes out.
Yeah.
Cat fight.
Yep.
Just kidding. We were talking the
Last
other
night.
day, about it, kind of just going over what we thought, hitting points on everything, and
because
just
we didn't want to share too much.
Yeah, because we wanted to be
about.
a little like raw and true and whatever, but also kind of hit points of like, okay, what are you thinking? Where are we at with some things? And we were talking about this podcast just kind of being over just how we resolved any conflict or arguments and stuff like that. And I just started laughing, and I think it kind of made her nervous because her first thought, Ashley's first thought was, I don't remember any. And so then I start laughing, and she's laughing. Like, wait, do you remember something I don't know? And I was laughing because I had a conversation with my mom a couple weeks ago when she was in town. I was going over just kind of some topics we were talking about, and I was like, okay, I don't know this one. And I was like, I just can't think of anything.
Yeah.
And I was like, we've been friends for so long, but I just don't have any moments. And I was like, I'm so interested to have this conversation with Ashley, because what if she comes up with something that I don't even remember about, or that like, oh, you pissed me off one time, and I'm like, oh, you know. So I was really interested for this podcast, but it was funny because I honestly do not remember a big fight. No. I'm sure as kids there was, apparently we argued about our singing skills.
Right, exactly.
Apparently.
Who sang what songs?
Who sang better, who sang what songs. Oh yeah, I was always right.
Yeah. Except you were wrong
except
every time.
Except I never was. No, it's fine. But I think like as kids, I'm sure there were things of like annoyance or whatever, but I honestly don't remember anything that was like major. Through those times. I do.
Yeah, same.
I will say the only things like I could think of was probably moments when I lived with y'all 8th grade.
Yeah.
And even then, I don't remember anything like
big. There was never a situation that I questioned our friendship.
Yeah. Or we even like.
Or anything like that.
Yeah. Yelled or mad. Like I don't remember anything like that even. And it's funny because I'm like, how the heck? I mean, we lived together as teenage girls in the same bed. Yeah. And it's really is surprising to me that like I was literally in your space and I don't remember anything like major. I'm sure there was times where we probably were like, yo, bro, I might need my space, or we distanced.
Yeah, we were just like probably got tired of always being together and you just need some time alone.
But I will say for us, I think a cool thing, and I don't know if it was intentional, it just was how life was. It was probably a little bit of both. I think situationally, we had our own lives because I was still in gymnastics and you were in cheer. You were a grade above me. So we had different friends in school. We didn't have classes together. I didn't see you much in school. And so I think that kind of kept us to where it was like we had our own things going on. Yeah. But we also still did a lot together. Like I don't feel like we never hung out, but we had our individual like friends that were separate. But yet, like, I think at the end of the day, we knew we were coming home to each other. So it was like, hey, we can catch up about our day.
Yeah.
I never felt like we couldn't do different things. Yeah. Like, there was a couple times I did hang out with some of you and your friends. And I never felt like weird
unwelcome or anything.
Or whatever. Yeah. But it wasn't very common. We did have a lot of, Jim kept me busy. Yeah. Honestly, too. But I think that probably was a good thing. But we also, I don't ever felt like we were people that were competitive in the sense of like the friendship thing of like, I never was like, oh my gosh, she's hanging out with so-and-so. Is she still my friend? Like, yeah, you're still my friend.
Right.
So I don't ever think that played a role, which was good because it could have been.
It could have.
absolutely. We were 16. Like I could have easily have been like, gone through a phase of being like, oh, great, why is she not hanging out with me? And there might have been moments that I was like, oh, I haven't hung out with her in a while. I wish I, but I don't ever remember it being like significant or like, okay, well, now she doesn't like me.
Yeah, there's no specific fight that we had to work through.
Or like a moment that was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm thankful for having that like good balance of things. And like non-threat, like of where like, I don't feel like I ever made you feel guilty about hanging out with friends. And then you never made me feel guilty about hanging out with friends. But also feeling like we were good about like, hey, like let's do stuff, or we lived together, so it was easy just to be like, hey, let's watch a movie tonight, or let's stay in, or let's whatever we even did. At that point we weren't probably playing Frogger anymore, so
unfortunately
I don't know, we might have sometimes
probably
watching Bring It On or Coyote Ugly. That pretty much
we
took
loved
up our
that.
life.
Night at the Roxbury.
Also I just quoted that the other day.
I can't believe that we were even allowed to watch it.
Yeah, because me and Caitlin were talking. Since Hannah's a cheerleader, she asked Caitlin if she could watch Bring It On. And I said, oh, no. And she looked at me, she goes, well, I said no. And then I realized, I was like, I was watching it at her age, and I don't know how.
Yeah.
Because I watch it now, and I'm still like, oh, what?
Luckily, most of that stuff went right over our heads.
And I think that was what I was telling Caitlin. I was like, it probably was what made it okay.
Yeah.
But it could have not. And I'm like, also like, if mom would have listened to that, I was like, it might have gone over her head too, some of it. So maybe mom might have been
I wasn't allowed to watch it. And then you were allowed to watch it. And I remember us like begging my mom to watch it.
Well, she was so right about that. So either my mom just said, oh, it's a cheer movie, how bad could it be? Or the stuff went over her head because she probably was like, what does that mean?
Exactly.
So I'm like, and it did. I mean, I had no idea that that was not a movie. And then Coyote Ugly, you didn't even have to really
the concept of what it is
should not have,
not a children's movie.
But it was so good, and we watched it. I think we just bounced back and forth between those two. And Night at the Roxbury was a classic.
Yeah, we loved the soundtrack of Coyote Ugly. Still do to this day.
It is probably to this day one of my favorite soundtracks.
Yeah,
if I'm being completely honest. I probably know every song on that soundtrack. Yeah. Oh, now we should bump that out.
We should. We'll listen to that on the way home tonight.
Yeah. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
That and I feel like Ace Ventura was a big one we watched too.
All critical.
You guys, I will say, and I will admit this, the only movie knowledge I have is because of your family.
You're welcome.
Like I literally, it drives Ryan crazy, and he would probably love to be more involved in your guys' knowledge because I just am not a movie watcher.
Yeah.
I don't care. I am a very basic movie. Like, I'm like, I don't want to have to think.
Right.
I just want to enjoy it and laugh and move on.
Yeah.
And he likes going to the movie theaters, don't like any of that. And he's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Like, and you guys are very good at watching movies and remembering
them.
There's certain things sometimes, or I have to watch it multiple times. You guys are very good, and he's one of those. Like, he'll quote something, and every now and then I get it. But, yeah, I think it bothers him. So I think I've kind of really have hurt his movie knowledge and quotability. I think I've kind of taken him down a notch, and I feel kind of bad for that. But he would really appreciate that. But I really, all that I have is because of y'all. And it's not saying much, but it's, I mean, I'm not around you that much so anymore. So, I mean, hey, you guys are doing pretty good at helping me out there. I just have you guys always quoted movies, always remember movies. And you guys always watch like weird movies.
Yeah, very.
Like Young Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I probably would never have watched that.
Even Heston never saw that movie until he married me.
Yeah.
There's so many movies he hasn't seen.
It's just so funny. Oh, Joe Dirt was a big one.
Oh,
still
yes,
a big
we
one.
did love that one.
Near and dear to me and Ryan's heart too.
Also, shouldn't have been allowed to watch that one. But
no, that one was probably better than Bring It On though.
I don't know.
I feel like there was just a lot of things in Bring It On that just were not there.
Yeah, not for young girls.
But I mean, I didn't know, so I guess it was fine for us. So it was okay. But it could have been. There could have been a lot of things I went home and asked my mom about.
Yeah,
and would have been like, my mom would be like, Why even? What do you mean?
Where's
what
this
does that
coming
mean?
from?
Yeah, like she would have been like, I don't know what that means. She probably would have said that.
What are you talking about?
Like, where did you even learn that?
Yeah,
these movies you're letting me watch. So I'm like, I
That's funny.
don't remember anything. This is the only little bitty thing I'm curious on if you remember this. And I think it was a year I was living with you.
Okay.
And you know how the night's meeting always fell on Fair and Rodeo week?
Yeah.
Whereas that year I was going to go because I don't
the night's
remember
meeting?
the full, There was like a, I don't know the full like reason, but there was like some kind of back and forth on me whether I was going to the night's meeting or if I was, and I didn't. I went to the Fair and Rodeo instead because I just couldn't turn down that weekend Fair and Rodeo. And I remember we didn't get in a fight, but I remember it bothered you. And then I felt bad because I didn't want to like not go because I've always wanted to go. But then like I didn't want to not go to Fair and Rodeo. That was the only time that I remember that I felt like
I was upset with you.
You were upset with me.
Oh, okay. I don't even remember that.
Yeah. And I don't remember it being a big deal. Like I remember us talking about it. So I will say that. Like we were, I think it was 8th grade year. I think it was when I was living with you. That would make sense. Or maybe and that would make sense because it was like, why not just come? You're already kind of thing. You're like already here with us. So that's the only thing that I remember that I ever felt like I like hurt your feelings or upset you or like that's the only thing I remember. And it wasn't like a big deal. Like I remember us talking about it and I remember it being like, oh, okay. Like I get it, but still like upsetting. But still with me like, and I was telling my mom this and I was like, because even in the moments of like you said, like you can still be upset and understand. Like I get where you're coming from, like, but I'm still upset and that's still okay.
Disappointed or bummed or whatever.
And it can go both ways of like, for me having to pick and knowing that it's going to upset one way or the other.
Yeah.
Is still like, okay, that's upsetting, but like kind of that's not fun either. Right. But that's still like okay. Or to be okay with being upset, but like, I'm not going to hold it over you. Like I might be upset in this moment, but like, I'm not mad at you.
And
like,
I'm not going to make you feel bad about your choice.
It wasn't like a, oh my gosh, like don't talk to me kind of thing.
Right.
But I think that's a big deal, like a big thing in friendship and being able to like voice that and being like, hey, like that sucks. I'm not happy about that. I might be mad, but also too like, I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like I never was like, oh, she's mad at me. She's not gonna be my friend. Yeah. That's an important thing, I think, in friendships, just in general, of knowing that like you can have conflict.
Yeah, because like the meaning of friendship really is you're trying to make the other person better.
Yeah.
And you can't do that unless you can have the hard conversations.
Yeah. And to like knowing that like I don't expect you to be perfect. Like if you piss me off, I'm not gonna be like, well, we're done.
Yeah, that's
Peace out. That was fun.
Game over.
You know, especially now, like at this point,
it's too
far in.
Yeah.
But that I'm like, you even early on, like, and I know at a young age, I guess you could have, because it's like you don't know what you're doing at a young age. But I think as you get older and you just like knowledge it, I think it is harder making friends now. But just knowing like I don't like as a friend, you don't expect that person to be perfect. That's not even ideal.
Right.
But also too, if you don't have those conversations of like, hey, A, B, and C, that bothered me. Like, I didn't like that you did this or whatever. Because it's like, well, then how do I know that? Like, if you're like a certain moment that I did something, you just like let go, which might be okay once or so often because it's not that big of a deal. You choose your battles kind of thing. But consistently, it's like, well, then I'm just going to always piss you off and I don't even know it.
Yeah. And you have to also decide, like, how important is that person to you? What is it worth? And, you know, we were discussing the other day, a friend of mine that I was having some frustrations with, and I just decided to go, you know what?
Yeah.
That's just how that person is.
Yeah.
It's not intentional. It's not mean. So am I going to call them on it and have a conversation? Or am I just going to go, you know what? It's fine. It's all good. And I decided to say it's all good.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad I made that decision because it could have made things very uncomfortable.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing too, like you said, choosing what's worth it. And I think that sometimes is hard to navigate or to figure out sometimes right off the bat. And I think that's where it comes in of like you said, like you're like, okay, I might let something go once or twice. And that might be okay. But then I have to decide where it's like, am I really okay with that? Because if not, then maybe I do need to bring it up. And then I have to decide if I think it goes bad? Is that going to be worth it? You have to weigh those out. And then I know, of course, like long-term friendships, there's probably plays a more role in that. I think there's probably more comfortability. Like with you, like I feel like I could and
Absolutely,
I wouldn't be worried about it because I don't feel like I can't.
Right.
Like to me, with you, I don't have a limit. Like
there's
limits.
no like wall or barrier or a subject that we stay away from.
Yeah.
It's just all
like it's fair game.
Open and safe.
Yeah.
And I would bring something to your attention because you matter so much to me. Especially if it was hurting you or if it was hurting me.
Yeah. I agree. I think that's a very good feeling, and I don't think it's common.
No, I don't think so.
Not completely. I have other friends that, yes, I am. Like, you do feel that. But sometimes, it's been we've had such a long friendship that I do think we've been lucky with that. But I do think you have to navigate the pros and cons of conflict or that. Because I do think conflict is hard. In a relationship, it's hard, I think. It is in general, but in a relationship, and like you said, finding those boundaries of like you said, like one of your friends, I'm like, is it worth it?
Yeah.
It's not. We're good. And that's fine. But then you have to be okay. It's like, well, you have to make those decisions. I had to check in with myself. Am I really okay with this?
Yeah. Do I really need to bring attention to what's bugging me? Because when I look at the situation as a whole, it wasn't that big of a deal.
Yeah. When you really look. And I think too, you could have maybe even had a similar situation with another friend, and you might bring that to another friend differently because your friends are different.
Exactly.
So that also plays a role too, who you working with. Someone might take something differently than another friend.
Yeah.
And so I think that plays a role of just knowing your friends and maybe how, or even how to approach it. How are they going to take it if I approach it this way over this way? So I do think it can be a tricky topic. I don't think it's something, me personally, I don't think you should avoid conflict.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because I'm the person that's just I'm not against conflict.
Well, it's easier. You need to be comfortable in conflict with relationships that matter.
Yes, that's fair.
Because if you're not comfortable going there with someone, then that person isn't necessarily worth it to you in the end. And when conflict goes unaddressed, it just gets bigger and bigger and worse,
Yeah. You just keep sweeping it under the rug. Yeah. You're going to walk over that rug.
And I think being an adult and having new friends or getting into a new friendship with someone, it's kind of like dating someone.
Yeah.
Because you have to decide, do I want to spend my time with this person? Do they make me feel, do I leave their environment feeling uplifted? Yeah. Do I leave feeling negative or drained bad about myself or drained? So you really are navigating these new friendships as an adult, especially being a woman. Is that woman uplifting to me? Is she kind? Does she hear me? Yeah. All of those things. And sometimes friendships come into your life and you're not ready for them at the time. And the timing's just not right.
Yeah.
Same like dating. So in friendships, you're kind of learning how to date a friend, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot of similarities in a spouse and a good friend.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, I refer to Ryan as my best friend. Yeah. You have you want that comfortable feeling with them and then safety and all those things you would in a friendship.
Yeah.
So I do think you look for a lot of the things in your spouse as you would a friend. Because I'm I'd spend every day with you. I got to like you too.
Yeah.
But there's also times where it's going to be hard and relationships are work. So I do think there's a lot of similarities in that and what you look for. And I think it's a choice.
Yes.
I love Ryan. It's to death, but it's a choice to choose to work and on this marriage and make it work.
And grow this relationship.
Because it's not just something that's well, I love you and that's it. That's not how anything works. If you want something, you have to go through ups and downs. You have to work through it.
You're going to go through discomfort.
Communication. You have to, like you said, the challenge of things. And so I think that's very similar to a friendship too. Like you're not, I mean, granted, we did say we were young. I don't feel like we had anything. It was just like we're beat bopping around, like living our own world. But as you get older and you actually have life kind of coming at you, I mean, I think things change. So I feel like you definitely do look for those things in a friendship. And it's a choice to make those things work. It's a choice to be like, hey, what do you need from me? Do I need to fix this? Or like you come to them with something.
Yeah.
I think it's hard for people to necessarily look at themselves and be like, hey, yo, I failed on this. Because that's not fun to do.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing to do.
But being able to do that, or if a friend comes to you, I do say that would be hard if like you came to me like, hey, I don't like this. I mean, of course, I'm not going to be like, oh, yay. Yeah. That might be hard for me to hear. But knowing that like myself, it's like, okay, that's good to know that I can
you would hear it from me.
That.
You know, you would take it from me and know that what my intention is with that. And I think too, as women, I personally have a hard time connecting with women. That's just been a challenge for me. I think I don't feel like a lot of trust and security right off the bat. I've had the same like core friends since like junior high and high school. Yeah. Within the last 3 years, I've luckily, thankfully added 2 of my closest friends into my life. Yeah. But it was not like taken lightly at all for me personally. And I'd love to hear if other women struggle with that. Yeah. Making that connection, feeling safe. I don't want my friends to feel like I'm using them in any way or vice versa. I want to feel like I can call and we can go and do whatever. And no matter what we're doing, it's going to be fun. Yeah. Like what you and I have. You can't really recreate that time-wise, you know? But I think that a lot of women do struggle with having new relationships, new friendships with other women and maintaining those relationships as well. And
I do like that you bring that up because that's actually been like a really big prayer in my heart over the last probably couple years, honestly, with finding those friendships. Again, like you said, like I don't have many friends. I'm not gonna lie. But I do have some, and most of them have been for a long time. And I was talking to a girl that I met at a retreat I did a month or so ago. And we were talking about that. Like, as you get older, I feel like it gets harder to make friends and genuine friends. Like, as a kid, it's so easy. You're in environments where you're surrounded by other kids. So you just are like, hey, you're there. Like, we're friends. It's as easy as like, hey, do you want to be my friend?
Exactly.
Yeah, deal done. And you are. Well, as you get older, I mean, you're married, you have kids, you have a job. There's so much more life involved.
Yeah. Well, and we've had different experiences with people who have not been good friends. Yeah. So you're not going into this friendship with nothing in the back of your mind. You're going into it and going, well, this situation happened and I was burned so badly that I am really hesitant to even entertain this new friendship. Yeah. Because it hurts when you're friends, when you don't feel like you have any friends. Yeah. Or that the friends that you do have are essentially like dropping the ball, in your opinion, you know?
Or you have like these expectations that aren't being met, or almost like maybe you're putting in something that you're not getting, or just things like that. It's just like any relationship, like we were saying, it's disappointing when you feel like maybe you're not getting what you want or you need. And I do think it gets trickier. Like, I think if I were dating now, I would be like, oh, Lord, help me. Like, I think it would be hard. Yeah. And I think as a whole, I don't know if people don't take it as seriously. And I hate just saying that because, I mean, I know there people are. But the investment and the time, because it is work. I just don't know if I think a lot of people really want that or will do it.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's sad. And I'm not saying I'm perfect in that. But I do have the want and the desire to have those like friendships. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, as you were talking, I was thinking that, like, I do feel like now as an adult, and like how we said, most of our friends at this point have been, 8 years old, junior high school. And so you have these long friendships that you desire that as an adult with some other like close friends. And it's like, well, you're talking, you have 15, 20 years that you want to kind of recreate. And I think that's kind of hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't, but that just has to be on both ends. You have to find somebody in your community, in your circle that you want, and they want it too, and they're going to put in that effort.
Yeah.
But also understanding everybody's life situations.
Yes.
Because everybody does. Some people are married and have kids and have jobs. So it's not like you can, just like when you're a kid, be like, hey, let's just go hang out. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have all that time anymore.
And so understanding that, but still also making it a priority if you want it. Because it is. Effort. Yeah. So yes, it can be hard, but it still has to be a priority. So I do think that it's just work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just really, it is, and having to do that. But yeah, I think as a woman, I think it's so good to have that. I think it's hard. I think it can be rare on both ends of like wanting that same thing.
Yeah.
And putting in the effort of things. And being able to communicate, or not having like high expectations. Like for me, I'm not the friend that's like, I'm the friend that will show up on your house and sit on your couch and just talk. Like you don't have to entertain me.
Right.
I just like the presence, like you said, the safety. So for me, like my biggest thing of wanting in a friendship, especially at this age and who I am, like I'm not the one that has kids. I understand that most people do. And so I want to be invited to things. Like I'm that friend that's like, not in the sense of like you have to invite me to everything, but I want to go to things like with your kids and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't want you to think I don't want to be there because I don't have kids.
Right.
Or that I'm going to feel like, oh, I have to be around your kids, or we can't just hang out. Because I don't expect that.
Yeah.
That is not where we're at in our lives.
Right. It's just not realistic.
And so I'm like, why would I ever put that on a friend to be like, well, I have a kid. Like, okay, bring him.
Yeah, great.
Sweet. Is like chicken nuggets? Like I can, whatever. So I'm like, so for me in my like life, like that's something like I feel like I want in somebody, not to have those expectations of me being like, I don't want to be a part of that, or assuming I don't want to be a part of that.
They're already answering, like giving your answer before they've even asked the question.
And so for me, I want to be able to be a part of those things because it is important to me, and those kids are important to me because you're important to me. Yeah. And so I think I don't have expectations of being like, okay, we don't have to go out.
Yeah.
I'll come to your house and have dinner. You can come to my house. If you bring the kids, bring the kids.
Yeah, it's all good.
So it's like, it's just, to me, like my thought of friendship is just like an easy thing. Like I'm like, you don't have to entertain me. I don't have to entertain you. I just want to talk.
Yeah.
We can even go out and have a couple drinks. If you need to bring the kids, you can bring the kids. If it's like, hey, I can't today, but let's do it next week and I can get a babysitter if you don't want, like whatever it is. It's like, I'm super willing to be like, okay, because I do realize that like I don't have that. And so it's like, why would I ever be like,
expect that
from them? Yeah,
definitely.
So I do think that like having those wants and desires and stuff of doing that in a friendship, maybe like it gets hard.
Yeah.
And I think it's hard. I don't know if it's hard for me because I am at a different season than most people my age. Like I'm not in the same book.
Yeah.
But knowing that like you can make those adjustments and do what you need to do to be there for those friends still is important.
Just meet people where they're at.
Because that's important.
Yeah.
But what's something for you that you are like at this point in your like your age and life and season is something for you in a friendship that like you really like for as a friend to you, like that I could do for you?
I feel like I have a pretty good like read on people, and but also I shouldn't, actually I take that back. I'm very standoffish initially. I don't think I'm a very approachable person.
Yeah.
I try not to be like that.
Yeah.
So the couple of friends that I have made in the last 2 years, I'm so thankful that they possibly saw through that.
Yeah.
And saw me as a person, who I am as a wife, a woman, a mother, all of the roles that I fulfill every day. And we're able to kind of see past that for me. So I'm so thankful for those women that have really pushed through the standoffishness that I tend to give off. But I also do feel like the interactions I've had in the last couple of years with other women have been pretty negative. And just one situation's coming to mind that I had someone who I thought was a friend. She decided to share something that I went through publicly and kind of made it her, she made it her thing in a way.
Yeah.
And that really hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And I kind of looked at that relationship and just decided it's not even worth it to discuss it with that person, because I didn't want to continue any kind of relationship if that's what you're going to go on and do.
Yeah.
But I think as far as friends go, it doesn't need to be this really hard thing.
Yeah.
It just needs to be like meeting me where I'm at right now, meeting you where you're at.
Yeah.
I also think as a friend, your job is to make that person's life better. How can I enrich that person's day?
Yeah.
Are they leaving my presence going, okay, that was really draining?
Yeah.
Or are they leaving going, that was really fun, I had a really good time? So I hope that's the kind of energy I put off. I'm working on myself to be that kind of friend that I want to see in other people as well.
Yeah.
And it is challenging with timing wise. Like, I don't have a lot of time to give to someone right now. My one good friend, she calls me at least once a week. Sometimes I answer, sometimes I don't.
Yeah.
But I also know that if I don't answer or don't get back to her right away, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
She's still going to be there.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful for that security and that friendship that I have right now. And she's in a way different season of her life. Her kids are older, and my kids are younger. My oldest is younger than her youngest.
Oh, okay.
So she's got a teenager that's graduated, and her friendship to me is so special right now. I look up to her in so many ways. She's a great businesswoman. She's, I'd like to be like her when I grow up.
I love that.
And I think it's a mutually beneficial relationship because she gets to come to my house and be around little kids again. And I think she enjoys that. And then, she's just a really good friend, but she's good at meeting me where I'm at and making things easier for me right now because I've got the little kids and that can be tricky.
So even though she's in a different season.
Yeah.
But it's nice too because she's also probably obviously experienced that season. So that's nice too that she's like, hey, like I've been there.
Yeah.
I got you. Like kind of knowing that is nice too, like you said, and meeting you where you're at.
Yeah.
Because not everybody's going to go through the same things. And I'm like you a little bit. I do think I'm standoffish. Something we have in common. I don't know how did that work with us? I don't know. But yeah, I don't think I'm not outgoing. Like I'm not just gonna like go out and be like, hey, want to hang or whatever. I'm trying to work on that because like I said earlier, it is a big prayer. I really am trying and want to find like a good women community that just kind of has the same thoughts, same beliefs, and just wants to hang out and just like you said, easy. Like it shouldn't be hard. I'm not saying it's never going to be hard.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have things come up, but it shouldn't be hard.
Like every day shouldn't be taxing on you.
And it that takes, like you said, both ends. There's things that like I have to be willing to come out of my comfort zone if I'm going to meet people because I'm not naturally outgoing. And like you said, it is refreshing when people can like kind of look through that and get past that because
it's
then
like
once it is, it's like I am more outgoing. Like when you know me, I can talk to you all the time and I will tell you anything. Like I'm not off limits. Like with me, it's fair game. So, but I'm not just like randomly going to talk to someone on the street. And so, yeah, I think that that's something that having to work through that and knowing that like, okay, it takes two.
Yeah.
But just make it easy. It doesn't, I don't think it needs to be that hard. Yeah. I know life is already hard, especially when you have multiple jobs and things you're trying to juggle as a woman. If, you know, you have kids and you're a wife and job and all of it, if you're doing all of it. But I do think that just like taking that pressure off and make it easy for the person and yourself and them, and just, I mean, you have to have expectations. I'm not saying don't, but I mean, just have fun and enjoy it, almost like we did when we were kids, like making it so easy. I know there's a lot more into it than that, but when you're together, just fill the cup, don't drain it. Yeah. But yeah. And I would be interested to know of like you said earlier, just what do people like? Like, what do people feel like fills their cup up? Like, what do they like when they're with friends? Like, and what do they feel like they're good at giving? Like, I feel like since I am free, and like more free, I should say that, kids, that the ability to be able to be a little bit more like present and go, like I want that. Like I want
you
to
can be more
to,
spontaneous. And you know, I don't have that right now.
Yeah. Then it's like I want to be invited. Like I want to be told and to be able to do it because I want to, and I don't want people to feel like just because I'm not in that season that I don't want to be in that season with you, kind of thing. So I would just be curious on like what other people think or what they feel for them in their season that they might need in a friendship and stuff like that. Yeah. So I'd be interested to hear from anybody on if like there's something in their friendships or a friendship they want, like what do they desire almost? Yeah. That would be able to like meet them where they're at in a friendship. But yeah.
I think that's a wrap on episode 3.
Yeah.
And we will see you next time.
See you next time. Yeah.